And with that, the chair now recognizes the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me start by thanking former Chairman of the Chief of Staffs, General Mark A. Milley, and former Commander of the United States Central Command, General Kenneth F. McKenzie, Jr., for testifying before this committee today and sharing, as you did before, the House Armed Services Committee in 2021, key military and policy insights on the United States withdrawal from Afghanistan. I also want to thank you both for the years of sacrifice and service to our great country, and recognize the hundreds of thousands of American service members, diplomats, and development professionals that work to support the United States efforts in Afghanistan over the course of our presence in the country. I want to also recognize the 2,461 American military personnel who gave their life in Afghanistan for our country. And of course, that includes who my heart bleeds for, the 13 brave Americans who were killed in an ISIS terrorist attack while facilitating the evacuation of 124,000 people over the course of 17 days in August of 2021. And as I've previously said, President Biden's efforts to end the 20-year war in Afghanistan and bring our troops home was the right one. And while that decision was in our country's best interest, a number of contributing factors complicated the withdrawal, namely President Ghani fleeing Afghanistan on August 15, 2021, and the resulting collapse of the Afghan government. As we heard in our hearing just last month from former Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation, Zalmi Khalilzad, former President Donald Trump's Doha deal empowered the Taliban at the expense of the Afghan government. The Trump administration's commitment to facilitate the release of Taliban prisoners in the Afghan government, that they were there in their custody, and initiated significant unilateral U.S. troop drawdowns, placed the Taliban in the strongest position since the United States first arrived in Afghanistan 20 years earlier. Continued troop drawdowns, despite the Taliban not fully complying with terms of the Doha Agreement, undercut the United States' leverage with the Taliban. During the transition between the Trump and Biden administrations, it also became clear that the Trump administration lacked a comprehensive plan for withdrawing from Afghanistan despite the May 1st deadline fast approaching. Upon taking office, President Biden conducted a thorough interagency review and determined he had two options. The president could either continue the withdrawal started by his predecessor or break the agreement and return us to an active war with the Taliban, a decision that would necessitate a significant surge of troops for an undefined time. The Taliban made clear that backing out of the Doha Agreement would result in the resumption of hostilities, which would place our service members once more in their crosshairs. Let me be clear. This is not my opinion on the timeline and facts. This is the picture painted by the Afghanistan After Action Report conducted by the State Department, which DOD has corroborated throughout its own internal reviews of the withdrawal. These are the facts outlined by this committee's own investigation, which has been comprised of over 100 hours of transcribed testimony, multiple public hearings, and 11,000 pages of documents produced by the State Department. And I also, again, like to reinforce the importance of broadening the scope of Afghanistan. Proper oversight of Afghanistan requires an honest look back, not just at a few months, but at the entire 20 years of war over 4 administrations. Generals Milley and McKenzie, so I look forward to your continued commitment to truth and transparency today, helping us gain a better understanding so we may learn from our successes and mistakes. And I want to commend the efforts of all who contributed to the successful evacuation and airlift of 124,000 people from Afghanistan. We understand over the course of our interviews and investigations that this was an all-hands-on-deck undertaking, and while I'm thankful such an airlift was successful given the dynamic and chaotic situation on the ground, we must also scrutinize the lessons learned, including from the tragic bombing at Abbey Gate. So I look forward to hearing how the Defense Department, similar to the states Afghanistan's AAR, has taken efforts to assess and learn from our withdrawal so that we do not repeat those mistakes in the future. Let me close just by saying I would like also to make special mention of our previously bipartisan commitment to ensuring special immigrant visas for the Afghan allies who've worked with U.S. service members and diplomats throughout our mission in Afghanistan. Thus far, the Republican leadership in the House is refusing to increase the SIVs to the administration's requested amount. So I know Chairman McCall and the majority of members on this committee agree that Congress must act on fulfilling our promises to them, and I hope to have your support in working with Democrats on getting that done. And with that, I yield.